What this session will cover, the session will explain what cluster points are, discuss how clusters are formed for different courses, identify the subjects required for various clusters from cluster 1 to cluster 20, or for the first, just for the 5 clusters, then we'll explain the others and demonstrate how cluster points are calculated. As you prepare to begin, kindly have your KCSE results available. Prepare to take notes if possible. Listen carefully as the concepts build on each other. Just a note, understanding cluster point is not just about calculation. It is about making informed academic and career decisions. We are now ready to begin. Once again, thank you for joining us. Let's proceed. Ked, you are welcome to take it from here.
Okay, good evening, everyone. A reaction kindly. To confirm, just you can hear me. Hello. If you can hear me, kindly react. Okay, then we can continue. First of all, welcome to this important session on KUCCPS cluster points calculation, which is one of the powerful tools that determine your chances of joining your dream course. So these are the major topics that I'm going to take you through today. So first, we begin with understanding what cluster points and the 20 different clusters. Second, we will look at how cluster points are calculated. Understanding this will help you know exactly where you stand. Third, we discuss why cluster points matter more than you think. That's why this knowledge is key in understanding it well. Fourth, we will highlight common mistakes students make. And finally, we will share tips on how to improve your chances of selection from understanding your academic strengths to choosing realistic and strategic course options based on your performance. So by the end of the session, my hope is that you will be fully equipped to make informed decisions that bring you closer to your dream career. So let's start. What are KUCCPS clusters? So clusters are basically a group of courses that share similar subject requirements. KUCCPS uses clusters to determine which subjects are most relevant for a particular course, making it easier to match students their right course. So for example, clusters, the related courses are grouped into one cluster. That's what it basically means. So each course is assigned to a specific cluster with 4 core subjects used to calculate it. These 4 subjects differ based on the course. For example, science-based clusters require sciences, while arts-based focus on humanities. Understanding course clusters early helps you make smarter and more strategic course selection. So there are 20 KUCCPS clusters. Each cluster groups together related courses. So you only compete with students applying for the same course, and ranking is based on weighted cluster points, not just mean grade. So mostly in calculating the cluster points, or in choosing course, they normally don't look at your grade, they look at your cluster point. It's normally calculated to 3 decimal places to avoid tying, and not taking a core subject in a cluster automatically disqualifies you from that course. For example, if you never did a course, for example, in French, and you want to do a French course, you can't do that course. So let's move next. So we are moving to the 20 clusters. So, for example, law is cluster 1. We count it going clockwise. So 1 is law, business courses is 2, social sciences and journalism is 3, geosciences. I can break it down in a simpler manner. So cluster 1, it's about law, basically. Cluster 2, business, hospitality related. If you like accounting, tourism, it belongs to cluster 2. Cluster 3, it's about social sciences, media, the people of journalism. Cluster 4, it's about basically mining and geology, meteorology. Cluster 5, it's about engineering, the people of mechatronics, electrical, they belong to cluster 5. Cluster 6 is architecture. This is about designing. Cluster 7, it's the computers wizard, those who like programming or coding. You can look at cluster 7. This is where it belongs. Your courses belongs. Cluster 8, agribusiness and related. Cluster 9, it's about sciences. 10, it's about it relies mostly with mathematics, actuarial science, statistics, data science, economics. Cluster 11, fashion and interior design. 12, sports science. 13, medicine and health, the people of pharmacy, nursing. History, it's cluster 14. Cluster 15 is agriculture and related, and note the difference between cluster 15 and cluster 8. Cluster 8 was about agribusiness. Cluster 16, it's geography and related. Again, a point to note the difference between cluster 16 and cluster 4. Cluster 17, it's about French and German. These are foreign languages. Cluster 18, music. 19, education. If you want to teach as a teacher, this is where you belong. Also special needs. And cluster 20, it's about religious and theology. It's about religion. So this is the mind map for the clusters. So we move on to the next, which is cluster weight. So through here, we will now start calculating about a cluster weight. In this section, we will calculate the cluster weight or cluster points. So cluster weight is a score calculated from your best 4 KCSE subjects that are directly related to a specific course you wish to pursue. It plays a major role in helping assess your suitability and competitiveness for that course. So it means this course isn't just about your mean grade. It focuses on how well you performed in subjects that matter in that field. So what consists of cluster weight? So it consists of 4 KCSE subjects, and also it measures how fit you are for a particular course, and the higher your cluster weight, the better your placement chances, and helps students in making informed course choices. Understanding your cluster weight highly puts you in a better position to choose the right course and boosts your chances of getting placed. So this, well, basically this image means, it means that what cluster weight is comprised of. It's comprised of best 4 core subjects in that course, overall performance, and the raw cluster points. Now we move on to subjects in some of the clusters. For example, in medicine. So what are the core subjects in medicine? So when calculating clusters in medicine, you require 4 subjects. And these 4 subjects are biology, chemistry, math, or physics. So you choose one which you performed better. Also in English or Kiswahili, choose one. And that's what makes the core subjects of cluster 13, which is medicine. And this is what will be used in calculation of cluster points. Let's move to the next cluster. For example, for those people who are asking about law, so law, you first of all choose between English or Kiswahili, pick one that you performed well, then pick 2 of the humanities from here. Well, if you did history and CRE, then they will pick those 2. But if you did 3, they will pick the best 2 from those 3. And also they will choose any sciences as well. These are 1, 2, 3, so 1 remaining subject. So they will either choose between sciences or technical or mathematics, one of them that you performed well. So for example, if you performed well in English, they will choose English. For example, CRE and history, then they will choose, for example, chemistry if you performed well. So for the people who want to do IT or software engineering or cyber security, it belongs to cluster 7, which is in computing and IT. So the core subjects are mathematics and English. So it's mathematics, physics, English, and any other subject. For example, if you performed well in mathematics, well and good, physics, they pick it. English or Kiswahili, they choose one, then they will come and choose one either from humanity or technical. So we move on next to cluster point calculation formula. So this is the formula for calculating the cluster points. So it's square root into brackets x over 48 times y over 84, close the brackets, that is 48. So this 48 is the maximum possible marks, and 84. These represent the total subjects, the total marks of your subjects, y, and x, it represents the core subjects, the sum of the points of the core subjects. So x represents the sum of points of cluster subjects relevant to that course, and y, total points from your 7 best subjects, including math and one of the languages. So they will choose, for example, math and English. And also, if you performed in Kiswahili well, they will choose math, English, Kiswahili, and any other subjects. So this is the formula. For example, so these are marks for a student. He wants to pursue a course in mechatronics engineering, for example. So mathematics, he got an A, English B, physics A minus, chemistry B plus, geography B plus, business B, computer B minus. So what's the his or her aggregate points? It's 69. And the core subjects required in engineering were, for example, it were mathematics, physics, and English or Kiswahili. So they will choose between English and Kiswahili. When you sum the total points, it gives you 42. So then you substitute to a formula, x over 48. Remember, x represents the core subjects, the sum of the core subjects, and y is or her aggregate points. So it will be x over 48 times y over 84. So x, it's 42, y 69. Substitute and compute it in a calculator and you will get 40.694. So the cluster points are normally calculated to three decimal places. Let's go to example 2. So in example 2, these are the subjects and the grades that he got and the core subjects. He wants to do a cluster 2 subjects, which is business and hospitality related. So what? So the core subjects in business related, it's math, English, and any other 2 subjects. It's not a must that you must have done business for you to do a BCom course, but he performed well in business, so that's why we have picked it. So when you sum the points, it gives you 31, and his aggregate points were 51. Then substitute it in a formula. X over 48 times y over 84 times 48. So 31 over 48 times 51 over 84 times 48, and then compute it, we'll get this. So let's move on next to role of cluster weight in course selection. So your weighted cluster points determine how you are ranked against others applying for the same course. For example, let's give an example. If 1,000 of you apply for a course in the same institution, you will be ranked according to your cluster points. Those with higher cluster points will have high chances of being selected. For example, in that institution, they required only 120 students, so they will rank those who choose that course from using their cluster points from number 1 up to 1,000. Then they pick the first 120. So that's why every course has cutoff points based on their performance of previous applications. For example, the 2025 candidates will use the cutoff points of 2024 cohort. The 2024 candidates use the 2023 cutoff points. So that's what it means. And also it impacts your eligibility, your course eligibility. Many students assume a strong mean grade is enough, but that's not always the case. Always check your minimum subject requirements and pass cutoff points before applying for any course. So later, I have highlighted a few common mistakes that students make. Focusing only on the mean grade. So a high KCSE, as I had already talked about it, so not meeting subject minimums and applying blindly and last minute applications. So advice, understand requirements, plan early, and apply wisely based on your strengths. So these are flow charts showing it. It's just what we have talked about. It's a summary about the common mistakes that students make. So, and here are a few frequently asked questions about KUCCPS clusters. So, question 1: Can I choose courses? Can I choose courses from one cluster or different clusters? You can choose your courses from one cluster or different. For example, you can choose a course in medicine, also in engineering or in computing and IT. Any can do. Or you can choose, for example, your courses in one cluster. For example, someone can choose in engineering cluster, for example, you can choose mechatronics engineering, electrical engineering, or marine engineering, all of them. There is no problem. So can I do a course if I never took the core subject? No, you can't. Can I apply for a course if I don't meet the subject minimums? No, you cannot. You must meet both the minimum grade and cluster subject requirements, and also the cutoff points. And also cluster weights change every year, or cutoff points. So here is a summary of what we have talked about today. So cluster weight, it's made up of your overall KCSE performance. They use the cluster weight to rank you. Then KUCCPS uses it to see if it's relevant. Then it standardizes. Then it places you to your institution. So as we conclude, cluster weight is critical in determining your course eligibility, and it's always based on your performance in 4 key subjects relevant to that course. For example, we said in medicine, it's based on, for example, in medicine, it was about biology, chemistry, then math or physics, and one language. And always check your cutoff points and minimum subject requirements before applying, and making informed early and strategic choices during KUCCPS application. Kindly note, cluster weight is just like a compass. It helps you match your strengths to the right course, ensuring that you don't just get placed, but placed where you truly belong. So as we wrap up the session, I kindly request you to subscribe and like, and we have come to the end of the session. I can give back the program to Kyle.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. I hope everyone has understood. So there are these common questions that I wish to handle. So there was a common about, these are my grades. Which course can I do? Your grades, yes, help us to guide you on which course you can qualify. But you must also remember that when asking, you must state the level. Like, my grade is B plane. Can I qualify for a degree in engineering courses? So when asking a question, please state the field that you are a bit interested, because you can't just come up with the field. Maybe you are a person who don't enjoy calculations, and we give you a course related to engineering or actual science, something that needs a lot of calculation. So please, when asking a question, say with attach the area that you are interested in. Then another thing is, I got a low grade. Can I still join the college? Yes. Low grade still qualify for certificate courses, and from there you can progress to diploma, even degree, depending on performance. So you should not say if you do a certificate, you remain to be a certificate holder. You can progress up to even to masters and PhD. And another one is, what is the minimum grade for a certificate? Most certificate courses requires from D minor, and others might require a lower from there. It just depends with the institution that you are going to join. And the grades, mostly grades needed for diploma are C minor and above, but some allow B plus. And another question is, for degree courses, they just require C plus. That one